Good evening, Marvel Rivalers. My name is KarQ. We have hot takes for the week. Remember to leave yours in the comments and let us begin. First one of the week is hot take. Lord icons just show how terrible people are at the game. It just shows that they're an OTP, or one-trick pony, instead of being flexible and pick the right character for the right situations. That, my friend, is certainly a hot take. You know what? You want to know what Lord Icons show? Playtime. That's it. In what way does it show how terrible people are at the game? All it demonstrates is playtime. Hello, hi, fellow allergy sufferer. Oh, hey, was this because I sniffled in the last video a lot? Try the nasal spray Stero Clear. It's almost an instant solution. Interesting. Well, thank you for the tip. I am allergic to my own dog, which really sucks. So it happens. Now, an actual hot take. Squirrel Girl is a cheap, brainless character that does too much damage for how easy she is to use. I understand she's an easy target for flying DPS, but still. I mean, you're always going to have heroes and hero shooters that are pretty like low skill floor, really accessible and easy to contribute a good baseline value, and Squirrel Girl fits that bill. You spam it onto a choke and she can be pretty damn good, pretty lethal, to be honest with you. Same thing as Junkrat, but like by no means is Squirrel Girl a top meta pick, but she's definitely serviceable. Like in Overwatch, there's a lot of Junkrat one tricks and they can make him work, and a lot of people can make Squirrel Girl work, even in pretty bad matchups. I wouldn't say she does too much, but she definitely does a decent amount, but it ends up being like a little bit of a skill check. It's like, all right, what can we do to like slow down her value? Somebody on the team has to pressure her, a swap in the tank, a swap in an angle that you take. She serves as a soft skill check to kind of see how you can adjust, and she's very easy to adjust to compared to some other heroes who take a lot more to adjust and adapt to. Next hot take, the supports have the lowest floor when it comes to skill of any class in the game, but when played right, they can have the highest skill ceiling. I agree with the first part, lowest floor to get any good baseline value, but when played right, highest skill ceiling? Maybe in the sense that some of them can opt to play like an off. I wouldn't say they can have the high skill ceiling. I disagree with that part, but I can actually say supports have the flexibility or more options to change up their playstyle, change up their viable playstyles. For example, as a support, you can be a heal bot, not great, but like serviceable, or you can go full DPS, or, you know, play calculated and play a hybrid mix of like finding the best value for your team, whether that is going on the offense and taking an off angle on certain supports like Loki, like Jeff, finding some cheesy like angles to get a cheeky sleep for Mantis when you play really aggressive here. Like those are the things that you can think of that can kind of like work when compared to something like a Vanguard, where like if you play a backline pussy Vanguard, most times it's not going to work because you can't take any space. You know what I mean? So like you have less choice in that matter on like how to approach the game in general. I mean, even that, like there's some ways you can play tank where like you go like super Rambo versus a bit more like chill and reserved. Anyways, I guess the overall take is I agree with the lowest floor, but I don't agree they have the highest skill ceiling. I still think that's a specific hero thing more so than like putting it on a specific role, the more I think about it. Anyways, let's move on. Hot take. The introduction of Invisible Woman killed the Hulk before any of the nerfs did. Hulk will never have a spot on the team before the thing until Hulk stops losing jump charge to CC abilities. Yeah, but like the thing with Hulk is like you can constantly jump every second. Invisible Woman's like CC pushback is like on a much longer cooldown. If you can bait that out specifically with one leap, like that's so good for the rest of your team. That's so good for your Black Panther. That's so good for everybody else who needs to jump her. Like she uses one and then now like you just jump on her again. I do not think this is true. I think Hulk still is quite serviceable and in fact still gets banned in a lot of games, right? So if CC is a problem though, I will agree that like it's hard to play anything but the Thing because he is unCCable. A great choice or a great answer to like a high CC enemy team. But yeah. Hot take. Tier lists are terrible because they encourage unnecessary hatred and toxicity, and they make some people feel guilty just for playing a character they love. Then I would encourage people who feel that way to not watch any tier lists. In fact, I disagree that tier lists are terrible because they encourage. I think tier lists are just simply opinions on people that you should not be putting up to a pedestal. You don't have to value any creator's opinion, mine included. Like I think anybody with like a good head on their shoulders can watch a tier list and be like, interesting opinion, and like actually be okay with disagreeing with it. And I actually think that's much better than people just echo chambering, blindly agreeing with what this creator says and then like shaming other people. And I know there are people like this that exist. I'm hoping you guys aren't. Whenever a tier list comes out, I would encourage you to form your own opinion, because your experience with heroes is going to be vastly different than anybody else's. It always depends on what rank you play on, what heroes you main, and what region you play on. I don't think Marvel Rivals has shown exactly like pick rates and like, you know, ban stuff region specific, but Overwatch recently did it because they're both hero shooter adjacent and like player behavior is completely different with many different factors. So a tier list on an opinion of someone who plays on the North American ladder could actually change from a tier list of somebody who plays on the EU ladder or the Asia ladder on Overwatch. You saw like the console pick rates and ban rates completely different on what people care about. Like Mercy, for example, never banned in Korea. They do not care about Mercy, but like everywhere else, people are like, oh my God, Mercy. Tier lists should be are not terrible. It's just an opinion, and the creators are entitled to put out their tier list opinion as well, and you are encouraged to also have your opinion out there in the comments as well, and you can say what you want to say. It's less on the creator making the tier list for the hatred and toxicity and more towards the person themselves using that as like a way to attack somebody else for playing a hero. You know what I mean? Like the blame should not be placed on a person just creating some content for an opinion piece. Like these hot takes, right? These are just like my opinion, and a tier list would be my opinion. That's like me saying like me disagreeing with your hot take is toxic. Like I will say I try to like do these takes. I don't really like go in on a person directly. I kind of just like sometimes I'll chuckle a little bit, but I do my best to kind of see where you're coming from. And I feel like that's the sense you guys kind of get when you listen to these hot take videos for Rivals, right? I'm trying to see where it's coming from, even if I disagree. And it's like, it's not because I'm trying to encourage hate or toxicity because of your opinion. Your opinion is your opinion. You know what I mean? People who consistently get reported for text and voice chat abuse should receive 100-year bans. That's an interesting way to put it. Just say permanent. The number one thing that will potentially kill this game is the toxic community. If Rivals ends up with the same reputation as League of Legends, don't say I didn't warn you. I think people who are like constant, I don't know what their system is for people who are constant rule breakers for the text and voice chat abuse, like getting muted and stuff. I think a temporary one for like 3 days, 7 days, or I think the first one should be like 7 days. Second one should be like 30 days. And the third one should be like, dude, come on, like permanent, like you're not allowed to speak anymore in this game because you literally cannot control the words that are coming out of your mouth. And I ain't talking about Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. But I mean, this is not a hot take. I agree. People who are constantly reported and constantly getting these temp bans should just be permad. Just like, bro, shut your mouth. Age-old adage. Is that the right word? Age-old quote. If you got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all, man. It's just a video game. Next hot take. Peni is only good on defense or certain maps is a skill issue. Look at that. Peni, Parker, Flare. Saying it's only good is not the right way to put it. I would say Peni is much better, much more effective value on defense and certain maps. She can be good on other maps if you play her well and you understand how to like flank and stuff, but it's one of those like you can just play another Vanguard to get similar if not better value because of the sight lines and because of how the map is structured, because you're kind of stuck in the open. Then you kind of have to like sling yourself 4 times on attack to get into the right spot. Your options are a lot more limited depending on the thing, and that's like one of Peni's weaknesses. But like I actually think that's fine for a game like this. You don't want homogenous tanks or homogenous heroes that are generalists that slot in everywhere. I think it's perfectly fine for a hero shooter to have heroes that can't be used everywhere. I think that's better, to be honest with you. You have some generalists just based on their like design kit, like they fit everywhere. Then you have some heroes who are like specialists, and Peni is a specialist on defense and certain maps. And it's less of a skill issue and more of like, I think that's fine by design. Next hot take. I fully believe if you want to play comp, then you should feel confident about being able to not just play well, but carry your team. If you are at a point where you are not in the conversation for MVP or SVP for your team consistently, then you might want to go back to quick play and figure out your play style better. Too many people blame their losses on others, and yes, they obviously play a part, but you are not doing yourself any favors. I agree. It's less, okay. The first part I want to unpack and say, I fully believe if you want to climb in comp, then you should feel confident about not only playing well, but being able to carry when necessary. I wouldn't say just to play comp. People can just play comp just to play, right? Let's get that straight. But I do agree, and you don't have to have MVP or an SVP consistently. Like there's 6 players on your team, right? If you are MVPing or SVPing 1 out of every 6 games on average, that is like pretty much on rate. If you're not MVPing or SVPing 1 out of 6 games, then it's a little tougher. But then again, that also depends on the hero you play. So maybe that's not a great metric as well, because like their SVP, MVP kind of system, not really, if it's just predicated based on just raw values, then it's not really indicative of what you're adding to your team. Like if you play a hero like Captain America, it's pretty hard when you're kind of just there to kind of like draw threat and aggro and attention. You're doing the right things to win. So maybe let's not include the MVP, SVP part, but like in general, the idea of carrying your team or being that X factor, that it factor, the star factor, like having more moments like that is conducive to climbing. And too many people blame the others versus like, yes, like you just got to be that guy, that girl, that person. You're just not doing yourself any favors by like, just like, you know, being very passive and not adding enough when if you added just a little enough, you're that slight little tip over the middle team needed, that slight edge, and across thousands of games, that variance will show, right? And that little tip that you're constantly adding in your favor will be doing yourself more favors. There you go. Hot take, I feel like the best way to stop people from insta-locking DPS in every game being a 6 DPS team isn't roll queue. I feel the same way Overwatch 2 set a 2 tank limit in their 6v6 open queue. Marvel Rivals would actually really benefit if there was a 3 DPS limit. Not 2, because I get that some people only really know how to play DPS. I'm also exclusively talking about ranked because quick play is about fun. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose, but in ranked, losing elo because you had 6 DPS in your team is stupid. First of all, I'm sorry that you had 6 DPS. I think we see the games being logged. It's actually very rare for your team to actually finish on 6 DPS. I think it's like less than 4 digits of games after millions and millions of games. So truly an outlier. But your idea of this take being having a what's it called, a soft limit or a hard limit on a roll, not a hard like, you know, I want to queue DPS, but like a minimum 1, maximum 3 could work on every roll. Does that work? So at most you can only play 3 tanks or at least 3 DPS or 3 supports. You can't have these cheesy 1-4-1 comps or these 4-1-2 or 4-1-1 comps or these 5-1-0 comps, because those are just lost causes, right? You need a minimum of 1, but then can that work? I think it would be better long term, but would the rest of the community agree? I would say it's okay, maybe because I've experienced it working very well in Overwatch's recent 6v6. When they brought back the mode, they implemented not the minimum 1, but they added just max 2 tanks and not having more than 2 tanks. So a soft roll for the DPS to start, or sorry, a hard roll for the DPS to start. God, I'm losing. Guys, it's 2 a.m., okay? And then maybe a minimum 1 of each roll. I would not be opposed to that. And I'm a hardcore strategist player, but like if that's what it takes to have like better overall matchmaking, I'm about it. Because right now, let's face it, Marvel's matchmaking is kind of a joke. Hot take, I'm afraid that the pace of new heroes a month will make balancing this game a nightmare long term. Balancing is going to be all over the place. You're going to have a lot of hit patches and then some miss patches. But yes, this is what Rivals and NetEase are doing is a very high balance cycle right now. Incredibly frequent. So the game is constantly changing. It's a fine balance between not changing enough where the game gets stagnant versus like too much where things can't settle. But 1 a month, I actually think they did say season 3 and beyond, they're shortening the 3-month season to 2 months. And I think at that point, then 1 hero each season every 2 months is much more acceptable. Because right now we have 3-month seasons and then a new hero at the beginning and then a new hero in the mid season. So right now we're getting Ultron at the beginning of the season. We got Emma Frost, right? So that's 2 heroes a season, but like 1 every 2 months is technically a slower pace instead of 1 every 6 weeks, right? Because that's the halfway point of the 3-month mark. That's a lot more reasonable. 1 patch a month, please. 2-month seasons, 1 patch at the beginning, and then 1 patch in the mid-season to kind of like fix some issues. And some big glaring issues, you can do the hotfix patches, which they have done in the past, where they're like, okay, let's just address this now instead of waiting a full month later. Hot take, Iron Man is extremely underrated right now. I feel that because of the resurgency of Hela and Hawkeye, many people dismissed him as being too easily countered. The thing I found out by playing him a lot this season is that he's incredibly good, but also a much higher skill than people assume. The Unibeam is great at destroying squishies, and Primary Fire is great for farming ult and outputting damage on backlines. Not only that, but the Primary is also shockingly good at bursting through direct hits. Just 1 direct hit can cripple your target. The ult is my favorite nuh-uh to any Luna, Cloak and Dagger ult, as well as providing a quick way to delete any one hero you dislike. You just play around Strange and Mag and you'll be fine. Overall, Iron Man is a super underrated DPS, and I hope more people try him out because I find him very fun. I think a lot of people like wrote him off after season 0, mostly because of the sound nerf, because like back in season 0, like he was kind of like bad at first, or at least people thought he was bad, and then some players really took him and popped off when they started playing crazy angles and flanking all the time. And then like the stealth nerf, never truly documented in the patch notes as far as I know, but like right now if you try to go on these like weird off angles to go for an angled, like an off angle maximum pulse, or try to get behind people to beam some people, you hear the because his engines, his jets are just so loud now. Stealth nerfed, even though it's more immersive in a sense because it's more realistic. But once that happened and that playstyle disappeared, people stopped playing him. But I think he slowly crept up. I agree. He slowly crept up as being a pretty good acceptable answer. Can definitely stop some of those big defensive support ults in their tracks, and is pretty strong, especially now because they rebuffed him slowly. They gave him overhealth, right? When he pops Unibeam, he gets that blue HP. Yeah, I don't think it's a hot take. I agree. Hot take, Spiderman should get nerfed, but he won't because he is selling too many skins. I don't think they're not going to nerf him because of the skins, and I actually don't think Spider-Man himself needs to be nerfed right now. I think statistically he's not even like popping off that crazy, and people kind of like self-regulate anyways by banning him because he's just annoying to play against. That being said, he is technically getting nerfed in the sense in the this mid-season with the Ultron patch coming up pretty soon, because Venom and his team up are being removed in place of other team ups. So that's a big indirect nerf, because like one of Spider-Man's like annoying rotations is like going all in. Obviously he's very annoying because he can swing in and then swing out and has crazy movement, but he also had that invulnerability button where he became like a fucking hentai tentacle symbiote or whatever, and then you couldn't shoot him. Like sometimes I try to reactively Luna freeze him when he comes in, but I'm like, oh my god, he pressed the fucking symbiote button, and now he's actually just gets in for free, goes invulnerable to dodge reactive stuff, and then swings out. Very frustrating, but that being gone actually helps a lot more than people think. I love how this is quoted from Reddit. Not really a hot take directly from this video, but this is quoted from Reddit. If having fun in this game is contingent on winning, then you shouldn't be playing the game. And then the respectful fella hitting you with the most disrespectful response, that's the loser mentality. I think it's a pretty cheeky response. Tongue in cheek. I think in general, like winning is definitely more fun than losing. Like that is just objectively true. But that being said, like even if you're losing, you can still be having a good time with your friends, right? But winning together and having big pop-off moments is, I don't think anybody can argue, is objectively just more fun on average, right? So kind of a blanket statement. You could probably reword that a little bit, and the response, as long as you guys understand it's just the internet, it's just a nice little funny, witty response. He wasn't slinging slurs at anybody. It's fine. I thought it was pretty funny. Okay, hot take. I don't think that the everyone is OP, so no one is OP is a balancing practice that is good for the longevity of a game. I agree. Supports being absurdly able to sustain makes them powerful and priority number one, which necessitates flankers being able to effectively target supports, which is why they are so deadly, lethal, and agile, and there is no peeling in the game, not really due to tanks not really being designed for it, with a few exceptions. I actually do agree with this. I think for the longevity of the game, I think Marvel could actually try lowering the TTK and cut down on the raw numbers from everybody and see how the game fares. Even though you'd be like, oh, there's less damage and there's less healing, but like the burst goes down, and people will be like, oh, well, that extends team fights. Well, not necessarily, because they can't upkeep them with as much healing, but it doesn't feel as BS getting one shot by Black Panther. At least the pocketing won't be as hard. The game might feel a little better. Overwatch tried this in season 9. People were like, what the heck are you guys doing? Increasing everyone's HP and like, you know, not changing any of the damage numbers, because objectively that changes the TTK. And I actually think that's a great update to kind of like help the neutral kits shine a bit more. I think I mentioned this in a previous hot take as well. One of the first things they could do is actually lower the ultimate charge rate from everybody and let their neutral kits shine a little bit more, instead of everybody pressing Q and disappear and I am ready to put on a show for 12 seconds. And then maximum pulse, just big moments, like should be reserved for big moments. And I'm not saying you can never get your ultimates anymore, but just cut it down a bit so the competitive neutral kits can shine a little bit more, because right now it really is a very scrappy, casually competitive game. I do not think Marvel Rivals is a true hardcore competitive game. I don't think anybody here can confidently say that. It's fun, but like for the longevity of the heart of competitive, I do think they needed. That's one way to attack that part of the game. Final one of the week, hot take. Magik is the most fair and balanced DPS, and whether or not you feel cheated while playing her is the strongest indicator for the health of the game. The day Magik is a dumpster fire to play will be the day power creep and CC have gotten out of control. Magik is the litmus test, and in my opinion, she is significantly less fun than in season 0 or 1. She's not awful, but watch as they give away CC and free value to new heroes as Magik fades away as a top hero design and gets replaced and made obsolete. My hot take is that Magik is pretty fair and she's actually balanced in a sense, but she's severely underrated and actually has one of the best win rates in the right hands. I know you can say like, you know, oh, like they give away free CC and free value to new heroes, but Magik has the uniqueness of phasing. That portal is like incredible. That actually is such a huge skill expression, being able to time and dodge stuff, and then making sure that when you are going on the offense, you're using your movement and your slashes correctly. But the dodge, the triple portal phasing, probably the best part of her kit. That makes her actually feel annoying to play against here and there, but pretty fair, because if she times it well, she dodges something, but you can predict when it comes out and she can't spam it right away. So you can kind of like see where she's going and kind of play around that. I actually think that's like Marvel Rivals did melee heroes really well, like genuinely so well that Overwatch should definitely take notes on how they've implemented melee heroes. She's definitely not awful, and she is like one of the best DPSs by stats too. I think she has one of the highest win rates depending on the rank you play, and I think I forgot what it is on average, and I haven't looked at it recently, but I do recall like Magik being like a top performer very consistently. But she's hard to play. She genuinely is hard to play. When to go in, when to go out, and how to utilize your skill expression with the portals, and like actually like understanding how much overshield or overhealth you're getting per swing to see how long you can like go in and swing, whether it's better to retreat with your portal or continue to swing to get that overhealth to kind of offset the response the enemy is giving you. And that's the skill check. I think Magik is great. And I think that's all I got for this week's video. Remember to add your hot takes in the comments, and I will see you in a little bit because we're going to work on Ultron breakdown, mid-season patch notes, and Mythbusters. That'll be the higher priority this week. See you there.